have managed to make that happen. So this is like the dream way to premiere it. Fundamentally, I'm trying to highlight the absurdity of the power imbalance.
Hey everybody, I'm here with Conor Bowden, the director, writer, and star of The Ungrateful Tenant, which is screening at the New Zealand International Film Festival this year. How are you doing, Conor?
I'm doing great. It's awesome. Yeah, feeling ready to chat about my movie.
Awesome. Yeah, no, good to hear.
Yeah.
It's a very interesting premise and also a very interesting structure for a film. It's a silent film.
Yep. Yep.
What was the impetus behind that? You know, silent
Um,
films are very,
yeah, I
not very
know.
modern.
Yeah, it's interesting. I just got really obsessed with them during lockdown. I think, being alone, without any of my friends who I make films with, only having my phone, only having me as an actor. My parents sometimes. But yeah, I was watching a whole lot of Buster Keaton from the 1920s, and I was like, oh, it's kind of cool that like 100 years later, I could make a silent film, and on an iPhone, there's an interesting sort of modern versus like new versus
Yeah,
old
yeah.
sort of thing. And so yeah, I just started making films that way, and it just became, yeah, I made several short films, like a 48 hours film, and then a longer one in 2022, and it just became a style I was obsessed with. And then I had some really frustrating sort of flat issues or renting issues across 2021. I was moving lots because like landlords were selling up in Auckland and we were getting kicked out. And I just ended up living in 4 different flats across that year. And it was just this really kind of chaotic, farcical journey. And it
Yeah.
felt like that fitted really well in the style of like slapstick silent film. And so it just became a natural progression to make, yeah, a film about renting in the silent film form.
Yeah, no, I think that's kind of an interesting juxtaposition
Mm.
because you're talking about something that I think is quite a pertinent issue to a lot of people, especially in New Zealand, with the renters market, the housing market, and the just the overall cost of living.
Mm.
So when you are showing this film to people, what is the kind of takeaway that you're expecting or hoping that people will get? Like, what is the overall message that you're trying to communicate here?
I guess fundamentally, I'm trying to highlight the absurdity of the power imbalance when it comes to renters' experience, particularly like, I guess, renters versus landlords. And I think for renters, it's a cathartic experience. It's meant to be, a heightened sort of funny, absurd, ridiculous expression of what we all have to deal with, whether that's, um, being, no cause evictions, which came back in, being kicked out for no reason, having your landlord turn up without without notice, and then not feeling like you can confront any of that stuff, or rent raises and dealing with messy flatmates, all that sort of whole sort of mixed bag of stuff. I think yeah, it has a cathartic yeah intention for renters.
Yeah. And did that kind of come from your exploration with silent films? Because when you look at a lot of the silent films from, the early 1920s, I believe, or
Mm.
prior, it is a lot of commentary on social issues. Did that inform it, or were
Yes.
those two things separate that sort of came together in a
No,
nice way?
I think that was the point, really. Like, I was like, it is a form that comments a lot on the struggles of working class people, and because of the heightened nature of silent films, they often deal with power imbalance, often very visually. Like if you look at stuff like Metropolis, German
Yeah, yeah.
expressionism, high angles, low angles to establish power imbalances. Um, yeah, it just felt like the form fitted very well to the story. And actually, if I got very obsessed with like newspaper clippings from the 1920s in New Zealand. If you go back and read them, some of the headlines you would believe are from today. Like, You get them
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
living, you get them talking about, renters stand up to their landlord, you know, yeah, I mean, it's stuff like cost of butter, which, I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
maybe we still talk about that stuff today, but yeah, yeah, there's a connection there.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really interesting connection that a lot of people maybe aren't kind of aware of. So it's
Mm,
pretty cool that you're sort of bringing a light to that.
mm.
What about in the production process? So when you're making this film, we were speaking before, you're actually in the flat
Yeah.
that you shot the film in.
Which was
Um,
built in 1926, by the way. This house
right.
that I
Yeah,
built,
yeah, yeah.
which is hilarious.
That's yeah, really interesting. A lot of
Yeah.
different sort of time elements sort of coming together.
Yeah.
And when you're making this film and you're shooting it in your flat, and
Mm.
how big of a production is it? Like, is it you and a few other people?
Yeah, it started incredibly small. Like,
Mm.
I mean, give me a sec. This is the phone that I filmed on.
Mm.
Just an iPhone I bought several years ago. But
Oh yeah,
in truth, like a lot of it started with me setting up the iPhone, filming myself, going to check that I was in frame, and then,
right.
doing it several times.
Yeah, yeah,
It did start quite small, and that was intentional because I think I didn't know what the story was. I wanted to just be able to experiment with the form. I improvise. It was a lot of it was improvised. There was no script,
mm.
and then over the years, my friend's sports team who did the Weed Eaters, who were just incredible.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
came
We
on
love
board.
them.
Yeah, they're incredible. They came on board as producers. Like this predates the Weed Eaters. I'm talking like
Mm.
4 years ago, and
Right. Yeah, yeah,
they were the crew and creative advisors and in everything that I needed. And so it just grew and grew and grew. And then last year we did a boosted fundraiser for to finish the production phase. That was
mm.
really successful, and we had quite a few people donate. And that's when it got serious. Like it was like, okay, I've got a script, I've got years of footage behind me. We finished this thing, and within 2 weeks, we filmed basically the second half of the film, and that was wrapped. And it was all because we've got an election coming up, so I knew that there was, I had to get the film finished. But yes, it
Yeah,
was very
yeah.
small, and then it just has grown.
And did you go back and reshoot anything that you'd shot in the
Yeah,
first half during the
yeah,
second half?
yeah. It's impressive in the film to see how consistent everything looks, knowing that
Mm.
I aged 4 years in the movie. A lot of stuff changed. I accidentally threw out, like, gave a costume to a secondhand store that I
Hmm.
needed, and
Yeah, yeah.
so yeah, that ended up needing to be a reshoot because I couldn't find the costume, and yeah,
Right. Yeah, yeah.
stuff like that, which yeah became quite hilarious.
And so this is obviously quite a long timeline
Yeah.
for this production. Was it always your intention to have this final film be something that can be submitted into a festival like the New Zealand International Film Festival? Was that always the goal?
Yeah, that was the dream, to be honest. Like,
Mm.
I I've been such a fan of Whānau Mārama for, gosh, 15 years. Like it's
Yeah,
the
yeah.
I know, obviously there's so many ways you can premiere a film, but for me and my experience, getting to be in that festival was like the goal. And
Mm.
also having a live accompaniment was like,
Hmm.
if we can make that happen, that would be amazing. We have managed to make that happen. So this is like the dream way to premiere it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Now, that's a massive achievement, especially
Mm.
the live
Yeah.
accompaniment, because that's
Yeah.
something that's very characteristic of silent films. And
Yeah.
it's a big. It really changes the atmosphere if you have a
Absolutely.
live accompaniment versus something that's pre-recorded. How did you manage to swing that?
We actually, I kind of was like, I feel like we need money for this. And so I saw Auckland Council had a grant for the Creative Communities grant, and that was
Mm.
due at the start of the year. And so that was actually before the film festival, I pushed to get that, and fortunately we got some money through them, and so it meant that we had this money for the performance to pay musicians, and so that was a really great, I guess, safety net to have, to know that we've got part of it sorted, and for the film festival, knowing that when we submitted the film, knowing that it came with this opportunity, I think that made it really, appealing. And also our composer, Josh Worthington Church, I'd been meeting with him early in the year about this, and so the plans were in place, early on.
Right. Yeah. So that was always part of the ambition as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now let's talk a little bit about post, because when it comes to the finishing of the film, I understand that you approached the Film Commission for post funding, but that was not successful, unfortunately. So how are you going about, or how have you gone about post and finishing the film to be presentable in the film festival?
Yeah, well, I'm very lucky that everyone involved in the film was involved well before we even really got into the film festival. Apart from maybe our sound mixer and colorist, our post team were really invested in the film, and they knew how hard, we fought to get finishing money, and they knew that it was something that we really wanted to be able to support them financially. So I think they really appreciated the effort we put in. We did do a fundraiser, which was really successful and awesome. Obviously didn't get nowhere near to a finishing grant, but we had a party last week, which we had about 150 people turn up to, and that was really, really cool. So I think at the moment, people are just very invested in the film being finished, and we're doing like a profit share sort of, I guess, what do you call, like, deferred payment sort of situation, which we're setting up, which is sort of like when money comes into the film, a percentage of it will pay off people's, quotes, with the idea that obviously if no money comes in, then nothing's coming through. But my hope is that we can sell this film and get, eventually down the line, and get those people, reimbursed, because it's such incredible work. I was with our sound mixer yesterday. It's so cool. Like, we are so lucky, and our colorist, Jacob. Yeah, it's really exciting.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. Like, that's sometimes people just call in favors, and there's not really an expectation that people will be compensated for their work. So that kind of profit sharing model is something that's a kind of new, but also speaks to the themes of the film. When we're talking about
And to be honest, I mean, I work as an editor and assistant editor for the past 12 years. The last 2 years have been the worst for employment in my career. So it's like, I know that, like, a lot of the times when you're trying to make films, calling in favors is a thing. But I think in this time, like, people are so, like, have so little work and so little money that it's not possible to, you don't have people who are like, they're working heaps, and then they're like, oh, I can do this one for free because I work so much. It doesn't really exist. And so I think it's important to acknowledge that, like, a lot of people, everyone in the industry is struggling, and we just don't have the work we used to have. And I think, acknowledging that is important.
Yeah, absolutely. And we all got to kind of support each other as well. I mean, people want to make cool stuff, but it is, unfortunately, a reality right now that people are really struggling for work, and people are really struggling to even make projects that they're passionate about. And so that's a really interesting way to go about it. When we're looking at sort of the landscape of the screen industry and everything like that, and you're kind of approaching, people not just for their to contribute to the film, but also to support the film and to engage with it. And you were saying that you had about 150 people show up to your party. What has the reception been in the film industry? This is obviously a very different type of film, and I'm sure there's lots of people that are really interested in it. Have you shown it to anybody, and what's their response been?
Yes, well, actually, one of what I've noticed, and this is a really good sign as a filmmaker, a lot of people that don't know me and that I've shown the
Mm.
film to have found it really interesting or funny, and that's been a really good. Yeah, I've been like, oh, that's a good sign. I did this program last year. I was on the benefit for most of last year, towards the end of the year, and
As many
yeah, as
many
you know,
film
yeah,
workers were.
it's like, and I did this thing called the Depot Arts course. It's like for artists to you kind of go to it, and it's a 2 day course, and they mentor you to sort of adjust your career path, but keeping in line with your art practice. To try
Mm.
get
Yeah, yeah.
get work. And at that thing, we had to show some of our work, and I was like, a lot of people were painters and had physical media, but I showed the first 5 minutes of the film, and that went down so well. And I had a lot of people come up to me afterwards and say, "Oh, I really understand this," or "I feel that way about this," and and so yeah, I really felt that it's one of those films that silent slapstick films are made for audience enjoyment. So I
Mm.
think the entertainment factor of the film is really flourishing, which I'm really
Yeah.
proud of.
And when we're talking about audience enjoyment and audiences in general, one of the big conversations that's been coming up in the screen sector at the moment, there's been, shifts in rhetoric from some of the funding bodies about how they're going to approach audience engagement and, considering the new kinds of audience behavior that we're seeing in the environment as it's
Mm,
changing.
mm,
With the streamers and the move away from like traditional methods of distribution and everything. It's really about finding an audience, speaking to them, and delivering content and a product to them that they will uh, watch for one, and also that they'll really get something out of. So when you're looking at marketing this film beyond, even within the film festival, but beyond, what's your approach with that? How are you looking to get this film seen by people?
yeah, I think, I mean, the film festival is a huge test, really, to
Mm.
see,
Yeah, yeah.
how audience react to it. But I think this film really thrives in person and watching it in the collective. And
Yeah,
so I
right.
think
Mm.
my sort of blueprint is the way that Hundreds of Beavers was marketed. Do you know that
Oh,
film?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
they did like this sort of it became quite big on Letterboxd, which I think is a film community that seeks out things that are different and interesting. So I think
Mm.
that's sort of
Yeah.
like the film, if we can get in there somehow.
Mm.
But the Hundreds of Beavers team did this sort of roadshow where the
Mm.
film went on tour, and I think the Weed Eaters did a similar thing this year, and
Yes.
so that
Yep.
sort of like outreach aspect of it, like going around centers and stuff and bringing the film and going with the film, I think that is an important part of marketing it.
Mm.
It's sort
Yeah.
of like I mean, it goes back to that sort of 1920s, like touring magician show or something like that.
Yeah, yeah,
So I
yeah.
think if we can acknowledge that there's something fun and interesting in it, and so I think whether people are interested in silent films or not, whether that's something, the fact that it's like this live in person thing is cool, and
Mm.
that's definitely I think why right now we are selling fast with our Hollywood Avondale live cinema
Yeah,
show,
yeah.
because whether I think the film's amazing, but whether it's your cup of tea, you're getting a live orchestra, like a 10
Mm.
piece accompaniment for the price of a movie ticket. So I think that's going to help the film a lot.
Yeah, it's good value for your money. And so for people who do want to go and see it, on the 30th of July at the Hollywood in Avondale,
Yep,
you can come and see it there. And
yep,
then in Christchurch, if you want to see it, you can see it on the 7th of August at the Jackman Auditorium. And if you're in Wellington, on the 21st of August, you can see it at the Roxy Cinema. Um, which screening are you kind of the most excited for?
Um, well, the Hollywood for sure. I
Yeah,
will
yeah.
clarify that obviously the Hollywood is the only one that we have live accompaniment with.
Because they have the setup, and they're an old school cinema as
They
well.
are like they. I mean, I looked on their Wikipedia. They were established as a cinema at the tail end of the silent era. So we're really, going back to that time. But yes, I know that's just going to be such a fun screening. But also Wellington, I'm really excited about Wellington because I know that, particularly with renting, I know that there's a big community down there that will appreciate this film. And I'm from Ōtautahi, I'm from Christchurch, so obviously I can't wait to bring the film back there. I actually made a film in Jackman Auditorium. That was my graduation, film school graduation film 13 years ago. So it's very cool to be screening a feature there.
It's all coming full circle for you by the sounds of it. Very cool. All right, so what's next for you? Have you got an idea for a film that you're going to make next?
Yeah, to be honest, next is getting this film out there. Like, it's been a 4-year journey. I would love to, get a few years out of the promotion of this film somehow.
Yeah.
What's next? I have films that I've written during this movie, but I think I'm probably going to need some time to actually figure out a new direction because this is such a distinctive first feature.
Right.
I don't plan to make another silent film. It was purpose built for this narrative. But I think what I've really enjoyed from this process is having a really strong, clear idea that when you hear about it, you understand it. And so I think I'm going to work hard at getting something new like that.
Yeah, a total shift in direction. Yeah.
Totally. Here's it. I'm going to announce it now. I'm going to be doing a talkie.
Okay, yeah. The next logical step, you know? Add some sound.
Yeah, exactly. Big news.
Yeah. Very cool. And where can people follow you, Connor? Where can they keep up with your updates and your work and see your previous work as well?
I couldn't afford my website anymore, so that is gone, unfortunately. But my YouTube handle is Conbow7. I've had it since I was a kid. But yeah, Instagram, Conor Bowden. We've got the Ungrateful Tenant on Instagram, so please follow us there, and you'll hear all about the movie.
Awesome, great. Well, thanks for talking with me, Connor. And guys, go and see the Ungrateful Tenant when it's in your city, because it's gonna be, I think, a really interesting one.
Awesome, thank you, Stan.
Great, no worries. See ya.